We got some rib injuries here for Aaron Rodgers, obviously dealing with a pretty messed up thumb as well. Is it Jordan Love time? Is it? I don't know. It might be Jordan Love time.
That's a nice little connection there, Love and Christian Watson.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and potentially, is it Jordan Love time? Is it? I don't know. It might be Jordan Love time. We got some rib injuries here for Aaron Rodgers, obviously dealing with a pretty messed up thumb as well. Saw him make some, and we've been seeing this for the past month, really bad, uncharacteristic throws from Aaron Rodgers. But I will say this, man, and I know it was garbage time-ish, but Jordan Love just stepped right in and actually looked like a professional quarterback. He looked pretty good. I like the pace of the ball that's coming out of his hand. And that's what he's always had. He's always had nice arm strength. But I don't know. I just felt like he didn't look like the moment was too big for him at all, and was going up against a really good secondary and was just out there looking loose and comfortable and slinging the ball.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, 2.3 interception rate. We haven't seen him close to that since like 2017. And like he's been the lowest interception rate number. Again, that's just intercepted passes divided by pass attempt, right? So he's been the lowest in the NFL for 4 straight years heading into 2022. And, 9 picks so far on the season. He has this. That's the most he's going to have in a season since 2010. So, I mean, this is a guy that never throws picks, and he's thrown a ton of picks this year. And I think a lot of it, especially in that Lions game, it's like, we don't see Aaron Rodgers do that. Even if he was like a slightly diminished player, isn't playing that great. Like, I think there's definitely some health things there. He was certainly grimacing and groaning for reasons. Usually he's always grimacing and groaning during games, but usually it's because he's pissed off at somebody.
Right.
Now it seems he's rather a little bit more pissed off at his own body. For Jordan Love, I definitely think he got in there and played pretty well. And, I always talk about like the relationship between the quarterback and wide receiver, and what type of wide receivers work best with what type of quarterbacks and vice versa. And last year, obviously the Jordan Love gets dropped in during the COVID absence game for Aaron Rodgers. He plays in against the Chiefs, right, in a low scoring game, didn't look good. Davante Adams has 14 targets but doesn't do much with it. Davante's such like he's a quarterback proof wide receiver. He's a really good player, but like that was the only guy they had in the offense. And so much of the offense is built around just find 17. And like, what is 17 doing? Let's get it to him. And a lot of that, I think, for a quarterback requires a lot of timing and chemistry and rhythm. And I mean, even as much as Davante Adams is great this year, like I think Derek Carr's even had to figure a little bit of that out. Right. So I don't know. Part of me wonders, like, every offense would be better long-term with a guy like Davante Adams, but a young quarterback getting dropped into an offense where he's like, okay, let me just execute the play call and not have to worry about getting it to this one guy. Maybe that could be better for Jordan Love. I don't know. And I mean, Christian Watson is a guy at this point that, I don't think he's a complete receiver. I've talked about him, I think, on this show. Obviously, he's in the rookie report on the website. The 3 routes he runs really well is like crossing routes, deep over routes, and go routes. But like that's enough if you're Jordan Love to just get it to that guy, especially the crossing route he had against the Eagles. Beautiful. Just a great play. And like that's why I compare him to Martavis Bryant, is because when he gets in the open field like that, he can house it like that because he's so athletic. And I think that's a nice little connection there, Love and Christian Watson.
Yeah, it's really hard to think about what this team might look like with Jordan Love, but if that's his opening salvo into 2022, that's looking pretty good. I mean, here's the thing. The Green Bay Packers are 1-7 over their last 8 games, dude. I mean, this season is pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Like they're pretty much done here. Should they be giving Jordan Love an extended look? I mean, I think they might have to. And I tell you what, if he plays really well, Green Bay, I know they hate making trades, but golly, you got to make a trade. The bold move, Matt. The bold move would be, if Jordan Love plays well, would be to move on from Aaron Rodgers in a full-on rebuild. That would be the bold move. I don't know if they've got the stones to do it. They probably don't. But if Jordan Love plays well, also he's a very nice movable piece too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes for a real fascinating discussion, right? Because they have to decide this year whether to pick up his 5th year option. I imagine if, like, let's just say hypothetically, he doesn't start a game this year. Rodgers comes back, he starts against the Bears, and he starts the rest of the way. And I know Rodgers said if he's able to play and they're not mathematically eliminated, he wants to be out there. I do like that he's like, yeah, if we're not, I'm interpreting, but it's like, oh yeah, if we're mathematically done, you can pull my ass out of there. When you look at the rest of the Packers roster, they look much more like a team that's, thinking about maybe 2 years, 3 years from now, as opposed to like right now, because they've got so many young pieces. There are certainly veterans on the roster, guys that have been around there for a while, but they look more like a team that, might be ready to really make a 2023 or 2024 push. Now the Rodgers contract is obviously an albatross. Like, I don't know how they would cleanly move that thing. I think they'd need a little help from Rodgers, and he's not exactly the most, amicable fellow, I guess you would say. So I don't know. I think it makes for a really fascinating thought. Like, if Jordan Love plays the rest of the year, gives them something, do they have a situation where they need to think about it? I mean, obviously, they drafted in the first round, like they were ready for it to be Jordan Love time sooner or later, and then obviously
Right.
Rodgers goes on and wins 2 MVPs. So they're in quite an interesting situation with Rodgers now being hurt. It almost kind of gives them an out to thinking,
Yeah.
okay, we'd love to see a little bit of Love. I think if you slipped them some truth serum, don't you think like they'd be like, yeah, we'd kind of like to see what Jordan Love has.
You have to see what he's got because, again, as you mentioned, that contract situation makes it so that their hand is forced in terms of what they want to do. Either they're gonna, completely burn that pick on Jordan Love and just let him go, or they got to pick up that 5th year option. And again, what does that mean for Aaron Rodgers? And you talk about the contract, man. Like, there's a lot of. I mean, come on, dude. The salary cap is all funny money, anyways, right? Like, teams are gonna figure it out. Teams are going to figure out a way. If Aaron Rodgers is available, they'll figure out a way to make that work, dude. You know what I mean? So, and plus, I'll say this. You talk about it being an albatross. I don't know. When we take a look into next year and the years following, is it that much of an albatross? Because quarterback contracts are just going to keep going up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. It's true. I think the only thing that makes it tough is like, where he's not coming off a good year, right? Like, if he was obviously coming off his 2 MVP campaigns, it's like there is no price I wouldn't pay to have Aaron Rodgers. But I think you just have to ask, like, is he a diminished player? Is he a year-to-year guy at this point? Like, he's already talked about, the possibility of retirement. Like, once you start to talk about it, how close are you to it? And I mean, you certainly don't want to be in a situation where Denver finds itself right now and it's like, we just traded all these resources for a guy and gave him a big fat contract, and nobody's going to want him. And he's literally the problem.
He's literally the problem. He's literally one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.